Man, I love StreamYard.
I
So,
know, I
so
know.
can see all the comments.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. It makes it really a lot more engaging, but it looks like we are live.
Hell
So, hello,
yes.
everybody, and welcome to our special guest, the show that we do every week to talk to experts in different topics relating to music. And hopefully, you guys leave with a ton of gems that you can learn from. But today's topic is marketing. We had asked what type of topics people were interested in learning, and that was one that was repeated pretty frequently. And so you have myself and our other special guest, or our main special guest, Dev, our CMO at BeatStars, to talk to you a little bit about marketing. So, Dev,
Hey
I'd love
guys.
for you to introduce kind of like everybody knows you in the community. Obviously, you're our CMO, our go-to guy, but they may not necessarily know your background.
The
So, do you want to
background,
talk
yeah.
to us a little bit more about that?
Sure, sure. Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, Jasmine. It's an honor to be a guest on BeatStars, even
Yeah.
though I'll be hosting some shows sometimes and having other guests. But yeah, no, this is a really dope show to just like, have the audience and have the community have an understanding about, what other professionals are doing in the space. Um, but yeah, my background, I started at BeatStars in October or late September 2019. But I've been in the music game pretty much for 10 years straight, right? I started in college as a radio DJ at my college at Chapman University in Orange County, and that's where I met some really really interesting, cool people that we ended up making a big movement and a content production and event production platform called Team Backpack, and this company movement, this clique, so to speak, ended up being one of the reasons why I stayed in the music industry for so long, because we ended up creating something so big that we had no idea what to do with.
Yeah.
We had no idea what to do with it. We basically, all we did to start was create. We were throwing these events in our hometown and at Chapman University. Me, myself, and a couple partners, who. We're all just really, really interested in working with artists, working with musicians, and giving them a platform to get seen and heard. And this was in 2009 and 2010 when, there was Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, but it was all in the very, very early stages of of music on the internet still. Like, there was iTunes and there was YouTube and there was MySpace,
Yeah.
and we were just learning how all of this stuff works. So at the time, I ended up working with some people at Chapman, and we just started throwing events, and we started creating content around these events. One way we figured out how we could promote these events was just doing live performance videos of all the rappers and singers that were going to be performing, and that took on a whole life of its own. We started doing weekly cypher events around hip hop artists, and basically, just had the whole West Coast rapper community join our ciphers, and we ended up, at the time, doing pretty cool things, reaching, hundreds of millions of people across all platforms from 2009 to 2016, 17, where
Wow.
we would. And so I ended up coming to New York for Team Backpack. Um, we set up shop out here because New York is the mecca of hip hop. Why not be here? Why not engage with the music community and hip hop community out here? And so I've been in New York for the last 4 years. 2017, I left Team Backpack and I started working more so in the industry at the labels. I worked with Universal, Warner, and Sony at different subsidiaries with different artists, different management teams, and just learned this New York game. I got burned a lot of times while doing so. Saw a lot of cool stuff, met a lot of cool people. And now, I met Abe in 2013, actually, while working for Team Backpack, building Team Backpack. And I think, that's where we bonded. We ended up working on a couple things together. And then 2019, I just reached out, said congratulations because of all the growth that BeatStars has had. And he was like, yo, Dev, come rock with BeatStars. Let's figure it out. I need your help. And so now we're here, and we're figuring it out.
Yeah,
So a little
that's
bit of
cool.
background.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that wasn't even a little bit. As you guys can tell, Dev has a ton of experience, not only in marketing, but building a business. Like you heard him, how he scaled, helped scale.
Building and failing.
But which is so crucial to
Yeah.
growth. But marketing too, and all of these in the music industry. So when it comes to music and marketing and businesses, Dev is the expert. My background's not as exciting. I got a bachelor's in marketing and I got a master's in business administration with a concentration in global business development. So essentially, with those two degrees, what I learned is not only how to build a business from the ground up and scale it to the point where it's global, but also how to market it so that you can get to that point in the first place. So kind of like we mentioned on the IG Live, like Dev, he is the expert at marketing and music, and I kind of have more of those traditional foundational skills, which can still be applicable to music. So we thought it'd be great for you guys to hear from us, that more traditional side and the industry specific side. And I can talk a little bit more about that. And then Dev, I'll let you share kind of the things that you want to talk about. And hopefully you guys will learn a ton. If you have any questions, we're going to have a Q&A time at the end, and we can answer some of the specific questions that you guys either submit that are watching on the live stream, or for those of you that submitted on social media. But if you have any questions, let us know. We'll have plenty of time at the end for the Q&A. So I guess I'll start with talking about traditional marketing. So that's obviously a very loaded word. Marketing is this giant umbrella, and there's a million things that fall under it. So I'm going to kind of break it to you guys in kind of 4 simple phases for how you should approach marketing, and then take it from there. So the first phase being obviously establishing a brand. You can't market anything if you don't have a brand that exists. And some of the basic ways to start doing that is really understanding what is your name, your brand name, and 2, buying that domain, because I've had the issue in the past where I get tied to this name and to this brand, and I'm planning this business, and then I go buy the domain and it's taken, or it's a domain that
happens all the time.
Yeah, it happens all the time. So when you're determining, the very first step of what's your business going to be called, make sure that you see if that domain's available, and then lock that in. Because even if you're not building your business right now, let's say you want to build it in a year from now, 5 years from now, if you know, like, this is a name I want, and this is something that I want to build my brand on, lock it in. Because once it gets taken, there's no going back, and you're going to have to completely start over. And I personally love, like, putting real thought into the way that I name something. So make sure, again, that GoDaddy is a really easy place where you can go quickly buy a domain and just lock it in. So when you're, again, establishing a brand, start with your name and the domain. Of course, the basics, the logo and the colors. It seems like something minor and kind of common sense, but you realize a lot of times people change so much in their branding with the name, with the look, with the feel, because they haven't really put much thought into it to begin with. And so think about these things as you're determining, what's my color scheme going to be? What's my font going to be? What's my logo going to look like? Like, if you're, let's say, starting just selling beats right now, right? And you make a logo that looks more production based. But what if you expand your brand to, like, selling merchandise, to selling services and things like that, and then you have this logo that boxes you in, or at least visually makes it look like you're boxed into something? You don't want to get to that point. So when you're thinking about the logo, think about where you want to be, where you want this brand to grow, and something that can really represent that. A logo is definitely really important for brand identity. I'm sure all of you know the golden arches of McDonald's, the black and white of Uber, the little Chipotle symbol. That's my favorite personally, because I love Chipotle. But there's things that you know and recognize. So it is important. Obviously, no one is necessarily going to say no to a business because of a logo, but you may be able to increase curiosity because you have good visuals. So definitely consider that. Even colors too, like bright colors sometimes seem cool until you have to put them on a piece of content, or you got to put it on a shirt. And then it's like, this is not going to work as well as I thought it was. So make sure you're considering that. Or even sometimes people like to go very bland, black and white. And then you realize, like, as I build out a lot more things, I'm pretty limited with my color scheme. And then too, like the more traditional things where it's like colors associate with feelings. So that's something to consider too. But just with everything you do when establishing a brand, make sure you think it through. If you, at the end of the day, you want to do this neon highlighter color, sure. If you want this logo, if you want this name, fine. But just think it through, because what you don't want to do is establish a brand based off something, and then a couple years later you change it, and then a couple years later you change it again, which is fine. It doesn't mean you're going to completely ruin your business, but at the same time, it's better for you to just really think about being able to establish a brand and carry on with that brand. And then lastly, what is your product and what is your specialty? You can start, you don't always have to go from 0 to 100. Like, let's say you're interested in starting a music business. You don't have to go straight from beats to merchandise to services, even though if you want to, that option, especially with the pro page, is there. You just got to toggle on those things. But figure out what your products are, and maybe building your brand off one particular product and then expanding from there. And really too, what makes you stand out, because there's going to be no product for the most part that you're going to create that somebody already hasn't before. So really think about your value proposition. What makes you different? Is it who you are? Is it what you're offering? And just make sure that you understand that, because if you don't even know what makes you different, customers definitely aren't going to know either. So make sure, again, when you establish a brand, you're thinking through. Not everything has to go from 0 to 100. Think about it in phases. Like, my very first year, I want to accomplish this. I want to release these products. My second year, I want to do this. Or maybe you have, the approach where you want to go quickly. But whatever you do, my biggest piece of recommendation for establishing a brand is definitely think before you do anything. Because you don't want to, again, have to change your brand pretty quickly because you realize that's not the way I want to go. So with that being said, after you establish a brand, the next phase that's really important is revamping your digital look. Or if you don't have a digital look at all, it would be establishing your digital look. So with the first key thing and most important is developing a website. That's what's great about BeatStars. You don't have to be a web developer to build a website and to get your stuff on the internet. Like, the way that we've made it is so simple. You can really develop a website pretty quickly. But the stats say, and you guys know that I brought these stats just to kind of reiterate what research has said about the things I'm saying. 94% of visitors, it says, reject a website based on its design. So it's great to really put thought and effort into your website. Now, BeatStars has obviously a lot of super fire templates that make it easier for you to have a great website with minimal creative need on your end. But make sure that you guys are thinking about how can you expand, like your pro page, or if you have another website, like this is your visual representation of your brand. So it's really important to make sure you're treating this as such. Like, I even see little things like, for example, the meta description that we have on BeatStars. For me, visually, that's one thing that bothers me when people don't have it, because I see a bunch of zeros, right? And it's just one of those things where it's like the littlest thing sometimes can deter a consumer from considering your brand. So definitely develop a website. Again, the pro page is a really great option just because you can connect your own domain. You can add your branding, your colors, a custom image, video. It's a really great way for you to quickly build a site, again, without having to put too much thought. But definitely make sure you develop a website. The next would be establishing a social presence. All of us utilize social media, usually on a personal level. But consider making some brand specific pages. Maybe you want to tap into your existing following and translate your personal page to a business page. But definitely make sure you're active on social media. The stat that I want to share with you guys for social is 50% of consumers made a purchase from a brand and had found out about them on social media. That's literally half half of the people that they surveyed found out about a brand that they bought from on social, which goes to show the power of social. I know you guys know because you all use it, we all use it, but there is real purchase power on social. And when you're active on social media, when people are able to find you on social media, see your work, engage with you, they get tied to your brand without you having to do so much direct marketing. So it's an easy way for you to grow your business organically. So make sure that you have social media accounts. Like I said, it's really great to set up like a professional or a Facebook business page. On Instagram, make sure you turn it on so that it's a business page so you can start getting the insights and the analytics, and make sure you're posting routinely. Because again, people want to know, they want to find out about you. They want to see what you, I am definitely somebody who does that. Like if I find out about somebody or a brand, like one of the first things I do is look, maybe that sounds a little stalkerish, but I look them up on social and I take a look at kind of like, I guess it's almost like a form of your brand. It's like a mini version of your website. It's how I'm going to judge as a consumer what I think initially about your business. And sometimes the social can enhance my likelihood of wanting to purchase something from them. And sometimes it can deter me, especially when somebody's social presence doesn't look up to par. They have really poor graphics. They're not really posting regularly. It's like, are they really a business? Because especially we use social so much, it's hard for me to fathom sometimes, like if a business is legit and if they're as great as they say they are, if they have no social presence or a social presence that's not good. So definitely when you're considering your digital look, like I said, think of your social media as like a mini version of your website to some degree. You don't have to include all the traditional information that a website does. Of course, that's what a website is for. That's what the hyperlinks in your social are for. But make sure that what you're posting is reflecting of your brand so that when people want to research you, or learn a little bit more about you, maybe on a personal level, if you don't want to translate your social to business page, but you want to make sure that they can find that information. When revamping your digital look as well, you definitely want to consider having a CRM, which is a customer relationship manager. So think of tools like MailChimp to a lower degree, HubSpot, Salesforce. You want to have these set in stone prior to growing your business, so that you have everything laid out so that as you're growing, these customers are funneling in. So the main point of a CRM is really just to manage in some ways, like have a concise way to manage all of the interactions that you're having with your customers. So whether that be somebody messages you or you email them or they say they're interested in your beat, they're going into like this kind of like almost like pot where all your customers are and you can learn more about them. Sometimes with certain tools, you can see like their habits, like what pages of your website they've viewed. If you send them an email, whether or not they've opened it, it really allows you to manage that relationship with all of your customers. Obviously, you're going to have to do the groundwork and still email people or still respond to customer service and things like that. But again, it allows you to fully understand where is the value in each of these customers, and two, being able to take a look at their habits. Like one of my favorite things to do when it comes to music and CRMs is using those integrations. For example, BeatStars has the MailChimp integration that'll put your customers in that CRM, and then including, let's say, the type of beat that they purchased. So let's say this person purchased beat A and it's a Summer Walker type beat. And then you see a month later, because you're tracking this through your CRM, they purchase another beat. And again, it's a Summer Walker type beat. You can take that data and that information that's being tracked in your CRM and use it for your advantage. So that way, let's say you have a month where you've put out 4 Summer Walker type beats. You can email that particular customer or those customers and say, hey, I know that you're interested in this particular sound. Hey, check out my beat store because I just uploaded 4 more beats that I think you might like. So really utilizing that data to your advantage. But again, if you don't have your CRM set up to begin with, even when you have maybe a smaller business, it's going to be a lot harder to do when you have hundreds and thousands of customers. So make sure to have that CRM set up so that as you grow, you can really take advantage of everything that a CRM has to offer. And then lastly, with revamping your digital look is web listings. This isn't necessarily always applicable to music, but I just wanted to at least share it with you guys, like the traditional Google My Business, where people can leave reviews and things like that. I always think it's still helpful, even though, again, majority of your customers aren't going to just be finding you from Google search. It's great where if they do found you and search you, that visibility is there. Same with social media. Like I said, it's not necessarily going to make or break your business, but I like to be able to say, I don't care what piece of information the customer needs to want to buy from me, I have that available. So sometimes, again, those web listings, you know how it is when you search on Google and you can see the reviews and you can see, it just makes you look more official. Again, it's not necessarily going to bring in more traffic, but it could help with conversions. And if it only takes a few minutes to set up, and it is free on Google My Business, you guys, it doesn't hurt to go ahead and do that. So those are definitely the 4 key things, like I said, with revamping your digital look, is establishing that website, establishing your social media presence, setting up your CRM, and then if you really want to, setting up the web listings. The third phase is increasing your online presence. So SEO, we all know SEO is important. We know keywords are important. I know, especially in the music community for producers, tight beat is like the biggest thing ever. That's where it came from. It helps with searching and SEO. So 89% of customers that say start their buying process by searching online. Now, hopefully you guys have a little bit of a different demographic. Sometimes you may find a lot of people that hear your music on YouTube, or, traffic that's generated from the marketplace. But it is still valuable, even with the marketplace. Like the meta description tool that we have when you upload a track is so that people can find you, right? Unless you already have all this traffic by yourself, which a lot of times isn't the case, you need to maximize the value of SEO in everything you do. Take the time to search, to fill out the BPN. Take the time to fill out the key. Take the time to fill out the proper tags. Take the time to fill out the description, because when you do that, it makes it easier for people to find you. And that's the biggest thing. If you want to grow organically, you can always advertise, which is another great way to drive traffic. But one of the easiest ways to grow organically is to make sure that your SEO is up to par. So take a look at not only when you're uploading to BeatStars, but if you're doing anything, let's say you're uploading on YouTube a video to promote your beat, make sure you include the right hashtags. Make sure you're looking at those analytics and really thinking about how can I drive traffic back to my brand? Because you can have all the talent in the world. That does not mean people are always going to discover you. So make it easy for people to do that through SEO. Make it easy for people to want to purchase from you by having a solid website, by having your social media set up and things like that. And then also content marketing. Content marketing is really, really important. And I think it's not always done enough in the music space, but the stat is, sorry, there is no stat for that one. What I did want to say, though, is that it really helps build trust. So content marketing is essentially providing information to your customers that isn't necessarily specific to your business, but where you're teaching them something. So for us at BeatStars, instead of just saying, how to upload a track on BeatStars, we could create a blog post that says something like, best practices for getting your music found online. It's still somewhat relevant to our brand, of course, but it is something that you guys can learn and can apply to your business in whatever sense. And all that does really is establish trust with your customers, because they see you as an expert. It's like, okay, I want to know best practices for creating a beat. I want to know best practices for making a sale. I want to know best practices for, getting a TV placement. If every time they want to find answers to their question, you're the one that has them, they see you as the expert, and all things, and it makes them want to buy with you more, right? Because they know you know what you're talking about, which means you probably know, you probably have the highest quality of products out there. So definitely consider content marketing on the pro page. For those of you that have it, there is a section for that blog. Think about how you can utilize your expertise to create pieces of content that are relevant for your customers. Sometimes it can be brand specific, like, I don't know, teaching people how to use the search function that's on your pro page. Create a blog post for that. Like make it easy for people. Again, like the whole goal with marketing and everything you do should be making people want to go to your brand. And that's not always by, you can spend all the ad money in the world. That's not going to make somebody convert though. They got to be able to see who you are, know that you have good products, and know that they can trust you to deliver something great to them. So make sure, again, you're doing some content marketing, even one blog post a month, you know, like get your feet wet in content marketing. Think about what your customers want to know, and make sure to provide that information to them. And also consider the fact that too, you may not necessarily have a immediate ROI where it's like, ooh, I sent this blog post, now I got $30 back in the bank. But at the same time, the benefit is that they have your brand on their mind. And the more that you can do that through, again, tackling all of these platforms, making sure that you're always in their face on BeatStars by constantly uploading new music, making sure that you're on social and your stuff is in their feed, not at a level that's annoying and spammy, but making sure that you have blog posts that are being put out and you're doing email marketing. It's like, these little things will keep your brand on their brain, like I said, and that has a longer impact because they start to build that brand loyalty. They start to be invested in you and your voice and the stuff that you put out. So definitely consider content marketing. It's a really underrated tool, even in just the business industry as a whole. We're all learning that content marketing is valuable. You know, the past few years, ad campaigns have increased as, you know, we've been able to run ads on social and Google has gotten better with their ad campaigns. So that was taking the lead. Now customers are tired of seeing your paid ads, right? So in order to get in front of them, or the quantity of paid ads is so high because everybody's running them. So if you really want to stand out, and really want to add value to people and really want to grow traffic in an organic way, content marketing is an easy way to do that. So again, with increasing your online presence, make sure you're really utilizing the search engine on whatever tool that you're using. And then make sure that you're doing some content marketing. Again, that blog feature is there. So, or not even necessarily a blog, use your socials to, I don't know, occasionally put out a tweet that can teach somebody something, or add something on your story, or a quick 30-second tutorial on how to do something. Like, the value is there. And I bet you if you put out a couple pieces of content, you're going to be able to realize that. So the last thing in this marketing phase is growing your audience. So of course, we talked about all the ways that you can do that organically. But of course, ad campaigns, it's an easy way. Set up a budget on Google. You can do Google search where maybe somebody's searching like hip hop beats and you have an ad that comes up at the top that directs them to a particular beat. Or you can do YouTube and run up the video views, which can kind of be a spiral effect because as your video increases and the views are trending, then the organic traffic picks up, which is a really great way to grow your YouTube. And then of course, social as well. Like if you upload a beat on your Instagram, why not boost it for, I don't know, $5, like, and just get that, even if they don't follow you, again, let them get that brand awareness. It usually takes, they say sometimes on average, 30 times of seeing your brand before people really consider buying from you. So start that process now. Again, you can do that in really organic ways, but paid ads is an easy way to kind of force your stuff in their face. And then of course on BeatStars, we have the promote system where you can promote your profile, you can promote a track, or you can promote an album. That's a really easy way, and one I really recommend just because the audience, you know, is looking to purchase if they're on BeatStars. That's not always the case with YouTube. You know, you can get a view, but that doesn't mean that somebody's ready to buy a beat right now. Whereas when you're running an ad campaign on BeatStars, of course, you have customers who are looking and they're willing to buy. So your conversion can be a lot cheaper. But just make sure that you're really intentional about your strategy with your ad campaigns, because you will waste money otherwise. So go online, take advantage of people who have done content marketing, and will teach you how to set up an ad campaign on Google or YouTube or social media, or even BeatStars, and utilize those tools to grow your audience. But I just want to remind you guys, you still have to put out quality product. Putting money behind your business is great, but if people go to your site and they look at your products and they're not that good, they're not going to buy them. They still got to spend their money. So make sure you don't also put this false expectation if you're kind of in some ways like putting out mediocre stuff and you're kind of half-assing your business. Like, people are going to be able to see that. But they can also see when people are really invested in their business and they're putting out quality stuff over just, trying to knock out 15, 30 beats a week, right? Make sure you're putting out quality stuff, because again, paying people to go to your site is the only thing that you can do. You can't force them to convert. So if you don't want to waste your money, make sure you have a solid ad strategy and make sure that you're putting out really good products. And then the last thing is with growing your audience is email marketing. So I kind of touched on it with the CRM, but make sure you're utilizing email marketing to touch base with your customers. Maybe if you're creating a new coupon code once a month, email it to your customers and create maybe a specific coupon code for them that they can participate in. Or if you've uploaded a ton of new beats that week, make sure to let them know and keep them engaged. But definitely utilize the fact that you're collecting their information. They obviously trust you and want to hear from you. So market to them through email. And it doesn't have to be in a way that's very cheesy, where it's like very salesman-y. Like, people aren't feeling that. I don't like getting those emails. Those don't make me convert and want to buy things. But still use email marketing as a way to like do mass personal touches. I know that you guys care about your customers and you appreciate the value that and the fact that they're purchasing beats and kind of like helping you achieve your dream. Sometimes it's even just like a thank you email. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know, a special shout out to this person if they did something, or sending out an email and be like, look how this person flip this beat, and here's 10 more if you guys want to purchase it. Like, utilize email marketing to the fullest and make your customer base want to hear from you, again, through coming across as really personal, but also make sure that it's almost like you guys kind of build a family. Like, I know it's a little bit different with artists, but that people who buy your beats want to support each other too. Like I said, if you're, let's say, once a quarter or something, you're sharing somebody's music, or even just including that line at the end. One thing that I found is really helpful when doing email marketing for music producers is at the end, just adding, hey, if you make any music to my beats, make sure to send them to me and I'll take a listen. It's little things like that where it's like these people feel like, wow, this guy cares, or girl cares about listening to my music. You could have had 90% of your email be marketing. It's like, here's new beats, here's a coupon code, here's why you should buy from me, blah, 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 blah. But then that last little line with that personal touch at the end can really mean a lot. And again, they start to feel like you're invested in them in the same way that they're invested in you. So definitely utilize email marketing. Don't do it in a way that's spammy. Again, be intentional, because you don't want to have access to these customers and take advantage of that in a negative way and spam them, but definitely utilize it to the fullest. So that's kind of it for traditional marketing. I know that's a brief overview, but again, make sure you're establishing your brand with the name and the domain, the logo and the colors, and the product and your value proposition. Make sure you're revamping or establishing your digital look. So having a really dope website, having really engaging social media, setting up your CRM, and if you really want to, setting up a web listing as well. And then increasing your online presence through SEO, which those of you that know, search engine optimization, the hashtags, the keywords, things like that. And then also doing content marketing, so blog pieces, anything that's informational that you can provide. And then lastly, growing your audience, which can be done through ad campaigns or through email marketing. So Dev, if you want to talk a little bit more about
Sure.
marketing, specifically in music. Sorry, that was kind of a
Sure.
really long rant, you guys, but hopefully that kind of
That's
broke down
awesome.
the foundations.
Yeah, yeah. So can you guys hear me fine? Can you hear me, Jasmine?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure. Everything Jasmine just said is all applicable to both, selling beats, selling beats on BeatStars, and being an artist and pushing your brand as an artist to the whole world. A couple of things you said, Jasmine, that I just thought about, like how important it is when you started off with like brand and logo and image. Back in the day, I feel like that wasn't as important for businesses. But now for businesses, it's extremely important, and especially for artists and producers, it's like one of the most important things that you could do is really figure out what you want people to think about right away. So I'm glad you started with that. Another thing that I thought I thought was really cool too is just that domain names. Really think about the top level domain names being anything now, because there's .world, there's .live, there's .whatever. So .coms aren't necessarily even like, you don't even need a .com anymore if you want to brand yourself really well as a like online with your website. I think look into the other top level domains. I know there's more coming out. I'm pretty sure Apple bought .beats top level domain name, and so they'll probably be selling that to people soon. I know they're making .music soon, or they're making that available soon. So definitely look out for that, guys. But I just want to bring those 2 points up because I just thought about it while you were talking about
Mhm.
traditional marketing. But I guess what I want to touch upon is like all these tools that you guys have right now, especially with BeatStars, and obviously we work at BeatStars and we're trying to push BeatStars. You really just need to be extremely consistent. You got to have really good customer service, and you got to obviously test some promo, but do things that a lot of other people aren't doing. I know a lot of people aren't necessarily creating playlists, right? Producers on BeatStars aren't necessarily creating playlists and sending out packs of beats via the marketplace or their pro page to artists that they want to work with. I think it's a really cool tool that BeatStars has to segment the sounds that you have, and create a package of sounds for certain artists that you want to work with, and just send it to them with their name as that playlist. I think that's a cool tool that is underutilized but should be definitely utilized. What I want to switch gears though into right now is you guys know as producers what you need to do. Get that sound right. Be consistent. Make sure you're doing good customer service, and just don't let up. The flip of the coin there though is like we want producers now to think more like the artists, right? You guys are artists, producers are artists, and you're interacting with artists all the time. Like, not saying that you go up and perform like an artist, but you're an artist because you're making music and it's being pushed to streaming. Even if you're not pushing it to streaming, like your artist customers are. I really implore you to start thinking about really turning the page and focusing as an artist and not just a beat licenser or beat seller. Actually, I know Eddie's in here, but he has a really cool content piece on Instagram from a couple of weeks ago where he's like, "Yo, guys, if you're a beat maker, just think about how you want to be on streaming." One of the things you said, Jasmine, about like search engines and search engine optimization, that's really important. But also think about just being on search engines. If you're a producer, right, and you maybe you don't sing or you don't rap or you don't have anything on your music as far as vocals, your music is still listenable. Like, I love listening to beats on BeatStars and just having it play in the background. A lot of people on streaming are the same way. There's so many people listening to instrumentals on the streaming platforms. So and there's a ton of artists and other, like, there's a ton of music lovers, but a ton of artists also listening to music on streaming. So why wouldn't you have your music on streaming platforms? I know it's also really cheap to get it on streaming. We're also about to launch a distribution product. If you guys don't know, you'll be able to put your music on streaming platforms and kind of just test that out if you haven't already. It's something I really implore any artist, any producer, is to just release music on streaming platforms. BeatStars is great, but like if you want, the larger audience to hear your stuff, I think it's a really good idea. Um, Obviously, it just, it starts with the music. Like you got to focus on the music and think about the sound and the message that you want people to hear, right? As a somebody that's worked with artists consistently over the last 10 years, so many people are just like, all right, like I'm making music right now, I need to put it out, but I'm not sure what I'm not sure what I want to say. Be very intentional, especially now as like everything is come to this in the world, and we're being a lot more introspective. A lot more people are introspective right now. Just think about what that message is that you want to get out to the world, especially if you got vocals on there and you're creating music for the masses like that. Always look for a team that can help you create the music and content that you want to deliver. It's really hard, especially if you're independent, to have a knowledge and understanding of everything. Um, Find those pieces. During the online summit last month, there was a lot of gems from a lot of the guest speakers. But one of the main takeaways I had is that first panel that we had with Futuristic, I believe. It was no that yeah Futuristic was saying that he started building with videographers and designers, and just built the team around him that he could grow with. You're not always going to find the best talent right away, but just be willing to grow with a new fresh team, and that can help you get your product right. A lot of times, like just at BeatStars right now, all of us challenge each other so much. Me and Jasmine challenge each other all the time to try to get the idea down and get the idea right. But it's always good to have a team around you that can really help with your overall, your product. Because at the end of the day, your product is going to be what markets you as a brand, right? Like your music is basically just marketing for you as an artist to market other things that you can sell and actually make money from for your business. um, uh, I think also always know that there's something for everyone, right? If you're building a beat licensing catalog, or you're licensing beats, or you're just making music and putting it out, there is always a lane for you. Even if your friends don't like it, even if your family doesn't like it. Like, dude, I've seen the craziest artists become massively successful. Look at like Insane Clown Posse and fucking so many 6ix9ine. He's just a walking meme. But like there's so many things, and people are interested in what you put out to the world. Just make sure it's something that you believe in as well. Just practical music. If you're really trying to do this, you got to think about this stuff. More so for like practical music marketing stuff. More so going along the lines of what Jasmine was saying. Advertising is really, really important if you want to reach an audience right now. And unfortunately, these platforms that we're on and always pushing content on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, like they're all pay to play. Back in the day, there was Facebook let, like in 2009 to 2016, they let all this free traffic happen, free engagement happen. And so during that time, I was just dropping hella content for Team Backpack on Facebook, and we were allowed this massive reach because they were just collecting hella data on us. They were just collecting hella data, and they let our content go viral for free because they later sold it back to us. They sold back the eyeballs to us. So know that all these platforms, especially YouTube and Facebook, all they're looking for is your dollar. But learn how to utilize that to your advantage. One of the things that I've seen, I don't necessarily think this works for beat sellers, but if you're going into the artist space and you're putting stuff on DSPs, think about all the countries that now have Spotify and Apple Music, right? Spotify is now available in I think over 150. I think it's like 100 or 150 countries, a lot of places, and some of the biggest markets in the world are now available for you to reach, and that India, Brazil, Mexico, um, super super cheap to reach, and really 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 into Western music. So if you're an artist and you're interested in getting your numbers growing on streaming, especially Spotify, take your content, format it the right way, use the right thumbnails, use the right captions, use emojis. Don't put like long ass intros in the front of your songs, and just blast it out to these other countries that have Spotify and Apple Music, and drive all the traffic directly to the streaming platforms. Because what will happen is that the streaming platforms will see that engaged there's going to be a large amount of engaged people listening to your song, and actually like liking it, saving it, following you, that they will probably end up giving, or if it's good and people actually respond to it, they'll end up giving you more algorithmic growth here in the United States and in North America and Europe, everywhere else, because they're just like, Spotify is just looking at musical tastes right there. As I could say that, if you're just selling beats and you're not necessarily pushing to streaming, I think another good tactic to look at, or another good targeting tactic to think about is focusing on selling your beats in other countries for a little bit cheaper, right? Pricing is really important for beat sellers. I think a $30 lease for an MP3 is it's pretty low for people in America, but in India or Brazil or Mexico, that might be way too high. I would consider lowering your prices depending on where you're marketing to, or where you're interested in marketing to. But think about international. I think there's a huge opportunity. A lot of young songwriters, artists are in different parts of the world. You won't make as much with each purchase, obviously, but I know personally, I'm watching the market grow in India. Hip hop is becoming massive. Hip hop is becoming massive because of certain artists getting to very high levels, and they're causing a lot more. They're just creating a lot more young rappers and producers in the region. So it's a market that I would definitely look at and test some advertising with. At the same time too, like when you were talking, Jasmine, I thought about the pro page and the blog section. And what if artists, or what if producers, right? You guys are creating content for your beat store and for your pro page, but you're creating content for artists, right? You're creating content for artists that you're then pushing out to on through social, and you're advertising that content, and you're bringing in artists to your pro page, which there you're collecting pixel data, and then you could retarget your music to later, right? Try thinking of different ways to just drive traffic back to your website, back to your beat store, back to your merchandise. Printful obviously is a great integration. We talked about that at the online summit. Jasmine touched on it a little bit earlier, but really test out some of the test out designs and create merchandise for your audience, and even just having merchandise on your site makes you look bigger, right? Makes you look like you have your shit together, right? So make sure you have that up. You drive, if you can drive people to it. Rock your merch, buy your merch, rock your merch in pictures. People will end up buying it. Let me think. Another good example of an artist that has turned just music into like a big business, I would say, is Burner. I don't know if you guys know the artist Burner out of the Bay Area. Someone to look at as a case study for sure. Obviously Drake, he's been in the game fucking almost 10, 11 years now, and still, I think, at one of the highest levels there is. The way he uses streaming, the way he uses, he doesn't really use social, but still does at the same time. the amount of catalog that he puts out. There's just, I think there's something to be seen right there about, consistency and also building with other artists and cultures. Always, collaborations a big thing in the music space that can help you stay relevant for a very, very long time. You guys do it on BeatStars platform all the time. I've seen producers do crazy numbers after working with a top member on BeatStars. Same can be applied to streaming, and you work with a couple. You're in a big city, maybe you're in Los Angeles, New York, or in Toronto, or you're outside those cities. You can always get to those cities, after COVID is over. But you can always get to those cities, go build and collaborate with people, and look for the artists that are going super super fucking hard. Those artists, and work with all of them if you can, because chances are that one, two, or three of them will end up blowing up, and you have a song with them already out on streaming, right? I think that's a really good way to engage, engage with the community of artists that are in your local areas. But you should always think about collaboration as a way to expand your audience, because whether they're on or not, 3 or 4 years from now, they can be the biggest artists in the world. I think you got to stay. You also got to stay really looking at music cultures worldwide and understanding what's going on in different parts of the world when it comes to music, because chances are that music is coming to America. And chances are that you can kind of take that sound and create something out of it and then market it back in that region, right? Look at all the music trends for sure. Look at what's hot in all this, on Spotify for all the global playlists or all the regional playlists on the charts there. Don't get too caught up in the numbers, guys. If you're a beat seller and you're not making sales, or you're an artist and you don't have the numbers on your social, or you don't have the numbers on your streaming, like, it's all about consistency. It's all about catalog. Don't get too caught up in how many numbers you have on your Instagram page, because it's just like, dude, those numbers are super easy to fabricate. And even when you don't fabricate and you just you pay for traffic through advertising, anyone can do it. You just have to have a good piece of content or a couple good pieces of content, and then have the budget to be able to create a funnel and acquire fans that way. So just first work on that music, really, really build a team. Start looking at ways that you could advertise and get funding to advertise. Try out a bunch of stuff, collaborate, watch the greats do it, and you guys will be fine. I know it's a long rant right there, but I had to follow up with Jasmine, so she killed it. So
Yeah.
do everything that Jasmine said, but oh yeah, last thing, guys, this live streaming thing is not going away. Like, we're in the best time right now. There's no more live events, unfortunately, and it's a huge, huge moneymaker for so many artists around the world. There's no more live events. Hopefully it comes back, but live streaming is really, really important for you to do, especially if you already have a fan base. It's easy to monetize. You can, build on places like Twitch. Really try to get Twitch partnership and build community on Twitch. But I think just get your feet wet and start trying this out. We just jumped into it. COVID happened. We were supposed to do 15 events around the country, 4 events all over the world for BeatStars, and I was getting ready to do all this stuff, and then it was like, boom, all right, let's figure out this live streaming. We weren't perfect at it. We're still getting better at it, but I know, because we've had all this practice, we're going to continue building out this live stream community and, integrating it back with BeatStars, and we'll just continue providing value for you guys, and that's why we're here right now, giving you this information. We think it's, live streaming and interacting with the community is really important. So do the same thing. So.
Yeah, it is. I mean, just for one, thank you for sharing all that information, and really some of the more music specific things. I think it's really helpful and really easy to apply for those watching to their business model. But as it relates to live streaming, definitely, like, I feel like even with what we've been doing, it's just so much more personal. Like, we're no longer just BeatStars, the product or the brand. Like, you guys know us. There's a lot of you who tune into these live streams, and you know us, we know you, and it just builds that relationship. We talked a lot about the fact that ads can generate traffic, and can generate numbers and followers, but they don't always translate to conversions and true following. And this is an easy way to do it. Just like get on live. If you're going to be making a beat anyways, cook up while people are watching and let them give you real time feedback and let them get to know you personally. But with that being said, sorry for our long rants. We're going to have a pretty short Q&A. So if you guys have some questions, if you don't mind resending them, just because there's been a lot of comments, so some of them were lost. So if you have questions, definitely put them in the chat now. But Dev, I'm going to ask you one or two that we saw on social. So Alan.y619 on Instagram said, how do you stand out?
Yeah, I think it really depends. You need to have a really cool sound. You know, a lot of music is just sounds the same these days, I feel like, and everyone's trying to copy each other. You gotta just, study like world music. I feel like study world music and like blend it together and have different elements, right? If you're an artist, I would love to hear, different languages on a song. If you're a producer, I would love to hear different elements of world music in your music right now. And some producers on BeatStars are doing really, really well are really good at that. And some are pretty generic, but still sells because that's what people want.
Yeah.
Just mash things up, man. Just mash hell things up and be yourself. Definitely be yourself.
Jay Rico asked, what's a CRM you recommend to start with to combine with MailChimp? So I'll answer that. My personal recommendation is always HubSpot. It's built around inbound marketing, which is really the way that you should approach marketing. Definitely look up what inbound marketing is if you don't know, but it's really customer centric. So HubSpot's a great tool, but even if you don't get another CRM, guys, you can always manually include the data for the contact in MailChimp. CRMs make it easy where they're tracking things and they're really taking your marketing efforts next level for you automatically, but there is a price point to that. So one of the ways that if you don't want to spend, that much money on a CRM such as HubSpot, you can definitely, like I said, include that data. There's that integration with BeatStars that will already capture and bring over some of those data points. But if there's something else that you feel is valuable, and it's going to bring money back in your pocket, then take the time to do it. And at some point, you're going to see the ROI and you can invest more in a CRM. But to answer your question, Jay Rigo, my recommendation is HubSpot. Dat1 Beats, he asked on YouTube, can producers be in the background like they used to be, Dev?
Yeah, of course, dudes. There's some producers that are like don't show their face, that just make really good music and know how to use the BeatStars platform and network with people over email. Like it still works. You don't even need to be on social media. Some of the best producers on BeatStars and the ones that are killing it aren't even on social media. They're not using Instagram. So yeah, it's possible. You just have to be really, really, really dope and consistent with it for sure.
Yeah. Beats by Ghostwriter on IG said, what's an adequate budget to set aside for marketing? So I really think that I'll answer that if you don't mind. It really just depends on what you want to spend and what you can spend. I always say try and reinvest around 10% of your earnings back into marketing because usually that 10% can essentially increase your earnings by 25%, 50%, 100%, depending on your targeting and your content, of course. But definitely at the minimum, I'd like to recommend 10%, even if you're only making $100, right? That $10 that you're using to boost your video on Instagram could increase your followers by, maybe one or two, and just increase your impressions and potentially engagement, which you never know the long-term impact. So definitely I'd recommend starting with at least 10% of what you're making if you have the ability to put money towards a marketing budget.
When if you're an artist too and you're looking for funds to invest and advertise with, I would definitely suggest, like, I'm not saying producers because like chances are you guys have jobs already or you're making money on BeatStars, whatever it is, you can take that percentage. A lot of artists aren't making any money right now and usually don't, even before COVID. Well, what I would suggest is always, having that second job. And, as you scale up, your music and get that catalog, have that second job and have enough money to saved up and start investing in, your advertising, your product, your studio time, whatever it is, just so you can get that going, because you do actually need some money to invest in yourself as an artist to get seen in
Yeah.
this era right now.
Definitely. And then somebody had asked on Twitter, and sorry, I forgot your name, but where to start with marketing. Obviously, I always recommend taking advantage again of those who have content marketed in the past. There's a ton of free resources on YouTube, on BeatStars, through these live streams that you can tune in that can teach you how to set up an ad campaign, how to, get strong at keyword research and SEO. But there's so much free knowledge out there. You really don't have to pay for it, but you do have to take the time to listen to it and apply it. But just know, when you're hearing from people like me or Dev or these people that are making videos, like, we've been through a lot of trial and error, and we're coming from backgrounds, and we're not just giving advice just based off the whim or opinion. And same with, I'm sure, a lot of the experts that you guys will tap into. Some of it may seem crazy and some of it may not end up working for your brand, but I always say give it a shot. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel with your approach to marketing and how you're doing it. Take what worked for other people and then tweak it towards what works for your business. So definitely tap into that free knowledge. And like I said, take the time, maybe, like, I don't know what your workflow is, but let's say you dedicate 1 hour a week to learning about marketing, learning about the skills, the SEO, branding, email marketing, or even just carrying out the actions relevant to those things. You'll start to see that ROI. Again, you may not always be able to spend money like Dev said, but there's things that you can teach yourself and that you can implement that cost nothing but time, that can, start to generate that ROI, so you get to the point where you're making money and can really spend on there as well. I'll ask one more question, and you guys, hopefully you learned a lot. But somebody asked on IG, Curry Beat said, "What are your thoughts on quantity versus quality when it comes to music?"
I think for beats and beat licensing on BeatStars, obviously, like, there's got to be some level of quality. I would say though, like, quantity is super important on BeatStars. That catalog and just, having enough beats to be searched on the platform can just grow your sales. For music and for stuff that you put on streaming and, like, is stuff that you're publishing that's finished product, I would say just do whatever feels right. Do whatever feels right. But there's not really there's no reason to go overboard when you're at the beginning of your career. Like, you don't want to, like, if you're starting out, have just enough to give people a taste, and then as your career grows, I would say, speed it up. Follow Drake. Look at what Drake's doing.
Of course, Dev is always going to recommend Drake's biggest stand, follow Drake. But he is right, though. Drake has been successful. And again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Look at what's working for other people. Try it. See if it works for you. Tweak it until you find something that works. And same with marketing. Try some of the more traditional ways that people email marketing and the quantity. See what your customers respond to. Maybe your customers want to be talked to 2-3 times a week. Maybe they don't want to be talked to at all. Maybe once a quarter check-in, but definitely try what works and then, explore from there. But with that being said, we are at the end of our time for our special guest. So thank you, everybody who tuned in. It was really great to talk to you guys and to be able to share one of our personal passions, which is marketing, of course. And Dev, we might have to do this again, because I really feel like we didn't get into the nitty gritty of marketing. Yeah. This was a super high level overview. So if you guys are interested in learning more about marketing, definitely let us know. Definitely respond on social. Let us know, because we're picking our special guests and these topics based around what you guys want to learn. The whole point of this show is to add value to you guys. And so if, marketing is something you want to learn more about or want something in particular, again, not even outside of marketing, if there's something you want to learn definitely hit us up and let us know, because again, our goal is to not only provide this platform for you guys, but educate you with the tools and knowledge necessary to be successful. So with that being said, Dev, thank you so much for being my special guest this Thursday, or for some of our viewers, Friday.
No
Somebody
problem.
mentioned it's Friday where they are. But for
No
those
problem.
that are watching, again, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week on our special guest, or tomorrow.
And stick around for Odd Kid Out is going live on our channel with the winner of the contest for the OKO contest. So Mike,
nice.
you could, yeah, so that's going on right now. I know you guys got to go back and watch everything that Jasmine just said. You know, make sure you take all that information, apply it. I was just ranting like an idiot just because like she said everything, but make sure you apply all that, and it should work. So
yeah, and like I said, you guys, please let us know if you guys want to learn more about marketing, or what specific stuff you want to know, or other topics, because again, we're booking out these our special guests, and we want to make sure they're valuable. But with that being said, it's time to have Odd Kid Out on and do his thing. So we will see you guys later. Thank you, Dev, again.
Peace, guys.